Hi everyone, it's Beck here with another tutorial for you for the Swirlydoos Kit Club. This one is featuring the January 2017 kit called Delicate. So in the kit this month we have the lovely paper collection by Lemoncraft called Gossamer Blue, and I'm using the two pieces of paper number 5 and number 3 for this layout. Also in the main kit this month is this piece of chipboard from Creative Embellishments, and all I'm doing is I'm just trimming it down a little bit so I can have some on the corner of my layout here, and all I'm doing is I'm just tearing away the edge of the top paper, the brown coloured one, so I can see some blue showing through underneath, and I'm just going to tuck that piece of chipboard under that corner. And I'm also doing the same for the bottom, but only having a smaller piece of the chipboard. So then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim off the bottom pieces of the paper. And so these two can be layered together. I hate wasting paper, and I wanted to use this beautiful blue paper for the rest of the layout. So I'm just cutting off some of the underneath pieces that won't be seen once the top paper is adhered. So in no particular measurements here, I'm just cutting off the maximum I can kind of get without it showing. Next I'm going to take these chipboard pieces and I'm just going to prime them with some gesso just to make them white so I can colour them easier. It's easy to use gesso with a sponge and you get a very even coverage on your chipboard if you're trying to do this. Plus it's very quick. So I'm just going to put that aside to dry, and while I do I'm just going to make the base for my photo. So I'm using this shiny paper that came with the main kit this month. It's kind of like a gold sparkle paper, which is so pretty. So I'm just going to back my photo with that paper. And then I'm going to start to arrange my layers. Now I've put this in really fast forward, mainly because it takes me a really long time to do this. I just kind of fiddle around and try and find how I like the pieces of paper to go. The more layers the better. I think you can just layer and layer paper underneath, and just to get some more extra interest in this. So once I think I have an idea of what I'm going to do, I start to staple the pieces of paper together. I do this because the stapling is a lot quicker than trying to stick it together with glue, but I make sure all the staples are hidden, so I don't like seeing the staples in my finished product. So it's just adding the layers on top of layers and trying to decide where I like them. Any smaller pieces that if I couldn't get a staple to hide, I'll stick it on with some double-sided tape. And this is a great way to use up any little bit of scraps of paper too, because they don't need to be full pieces of paper, just a little bit sticking out from the edge. Now once I'm happy with all my layers, I'm just going to roughly distress the edges. And I haven't gone around all the edges, I just kind of do it in a random sort of fashion. So some of them are distressed and some of them are not. I just like that it gives a bit of variation to the layout. Next I'm sticking on my photo with some cardboard. This gives a little bit more dimension, and another piece of cardboard underneath. Once your chipboard is dry, I'm going to colour this with the liquid pearls that came in the main kit this month. The colour is Hot Cocoa. Now if you have difficulty getting your liquid pearls to come out, I just use a safety pin like this to poke a hole in it to unblock it. So just colour the whole thing with the liquid pearls. It comes out so shiny and very beautiful. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start to adhere this to my layout. I was just trying to get it in the way that I think looks the best. I did have another extra bit of that chipboard, but it never ended up going on the layout. And then next I'm just going to adhere that top piece of paper to the bottom. I'm doing this with double-sided tape. The easiest way to do this is to kind of just do one piece of tape at a time to adhere it on, That way you can get your piece of paper nice and straight. Because if I take off all the bits of double-sided tape all at one time, I end up with my paper crooked. So this is a good way to make it easy. So once I've decided that I like where my photo is going to go, I glue that one down. And now I'm taking some flowers. So these, and also I've fussy cut out some of the flowers and images that were on some of the other pieces of paper. So these flowers are the Prima flowers from the flower add-on kit, and the white flowers are the Gossamer flowers from the main kit. Now I like the white flowers, but I just wanted something extra on them, so I've just taken a little bit of Distress ink and broken china, and I'm just rubbing it just on the edges of the top. So it doesn't really colour it, it just gives it that little bit of dimension, so you can see the white flowers easier on the layout. And now I start to just kind of put my layout together. Most of the time I decide where stuff goes and I slowly move it around until I'm happy with how it's sitting. So I'm just putting some of those fussy cut pieces in amongst there. And this is just to peek through in the background and give some more interest. So I have some of the flowers and also some of the kind of doily looking pieces that were on some of the papers. And then also I've got some of these 49th and Market flowers that came in the flower add-on kit as well this month. And because these flowers, the large Prima ones, were hiding behind under the photo, I've decided to cut them off. Unfortunately, they kind of break into little pieces when you do that, but that's okay because you can glue those all back together in the end. So I can't quite decide where those little light brown pieces are going, but I'll put them on later. And also, I'm adding onto this layout some of these Prima junkyard findings that were in the embellishment add-on kit this month. So I'm just trying to decide where they're going to go. And once I'm happy with where things are, I start to glue everything down. So now everything is glued, and I'm just taking a few extras from my stash at home. I have some little white rosebuds and some little brown roses there that I'm just sticking on the edges of my layout. And I also have some cheesecloth that's kind of dyed a light brown colour, which I'm just tucking underneath all my embellishments. The thing I like to do when I'm embellishing is add some layers on top of layers. You can never really have too many layers, and a lot of times things are hidden, but I quite like that look. Just little bits and pieces peeking out from underneath. So I'm just gluing that down as I go. And rearranging things. Okay, and I've also got some little lace flowers from my stash that I'm also just cutting in half and tucking in under my flowers. And just adding a couple more flowers here and there just to make the layout feel more fuller. And again, just a couple more bits of cheesecloth. And those little brown petals that fell off that Prima flower I cut earlier. Next I'm taking the Lemoncraft trims that came in the main kit this month, and I'm just using that light plain brown ribbon and tying it into a bow. Then all I do is I bend the bow in half and I glue that underneath some flowers. I'm also taking a piece of twine from my kit which I've tied into a bow and tucking that under as well. And I've just added that in 2 different places. The rest of the brown ribbon I had left wasn't enough to make a bow, and I tried to pop it down that bottom corner, but I just couldn't get it to where I was happy with it, so I've left that off. And next I'm just adding some of those liquid pearls, just popping them into along that chipboard, just to add a little bit of extra interest along there. And also just to the centres of those little fussy cut butterflies. Right, to finish off the layout, I am just adding on some of the Lemoncraft buttons that were also in the main kit this month. I only ended up adding 1, and then also some of the Kaisercraft pearls which came from the embellishment add-on this month, and just putting those randomly along the thing. Unfortunately, that's where my narration's coming to an end because my baby has woken up and I have to go. But make sure you head to swirlydoos.com if you'd like to purchase one of these kits, and I hope to see you on the Facebook gallery. Bye!